but there is some reason for optimism. It only takes about 3 weeks for the public to move on from a mass shooting. But this time, more than 2 months after the shootings in Dayton and El Paso, we are still having conversations about real change. Every mayor who experiences a tragedy like this hopes that it will be the last. Sadly, we know Dayton won't be that case, but it still feels like real change is possible this time. Now, what I think stands out about the shooting in Dayton, beyond our community's extraordinary resilience, is that the events largely undermine many of the arguments we hear from folks opposed to common sense gun laws. They argue that there is simply nothing we can do to stop these shootings. They say that the only answer to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Yet in Dayton, we had 6 good guys with guns, fearless and heroic Dayton police officers just around the corner. Despite their enormously quick response, the gunman was still able to kill 9 people and shoot 24 more in only 32 seconds. Others argue that we must solely focus our energy on improving mental health care. This is important, but deeply inadequate. Research has consistently shown that mental health issues are not the cause of most mass shootings. There are indications that the shooter in Dayton was receiving mental health treatment prior to the attack, yet the tragedy still occurred. More good guys with guns won't prevent these shootings. More mental health programs alone won't prevent these shootings, especially if they aren't actually funded. The only answer is stronger limitations on access to guns. After the 1913 flood, our community built a massive flood control system that has kept our city safe for over 100 years. That system became the model for the Tennessee Valley Authority and similar systems across the country and around the world. There's no reason Dayton can't once again serve as a model for this nation. In Ohio, we are working in a bipartisan way to take steps towards meaningful restrictions on access to guns. The Strong Ohio proposal that Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted rolled out on Monday does not go as far as I would, but it is an important start. This is the first time in my career that I have witnessed our state government seriously consider restrictions on access to guns instead of allowing more dangerous weapons into our communities. Turning this ship will take time, and I appreciate Governor DeWine's leadership in charting a new course to pass gun restrictions that will save lives. There is still much work to do, and the Strong Ohio plan can only be the first step. The governor, mayors like myself, and our state legislators are elected by the people to govern, not to score political points. Governing is difficult. Change can be slow. But I know, that as with all things in Ohio, we are more likely to get there if leaders from both sides of the aisle are working together. And we must get there because the crisis of gun violence is not going to go away. Dayton was the 250th mass shooting in the United States just this year. We are not even the most recent one. After the shooting in Dayton, I received dozens of phone calls from mayors who had gone through mass shootings offering me advice. What does that say about our country today? I have already called the mayors of Midland and Odessa. I don't want to continue making these calls. It is time for the Ohio General Assembly to take action, and it is time for Congress to take action, and it is time to take action to stop these senseless shootings. A few weeks ago, Lois Oglesby went to meet friends in the Oregon District. It was her first time going out since her daughter was born a few months earlier. Her evening of celebration abruptly turned to tragedy as the gunman's shots rang out. In her last moments, Lois wasn't thinking of herself. She was thinking of her family. She called her partner to ask him to make sure her children knew what they surely already did, that she loved them more than anything. It now falls on us in Dayton to build the community that will raise Lois's children. It falls on the elected officials in this room, in the State House, and in the Capitol to keep them safe. We owe it to them to keep the promises we made during this crisis. We owe it to them to do something. Thank you.